When traveling the 2,000 kilometers to enjoy the Bonneville salt flats, you obviously need to take accommodations into account. The Speedway lies barely into the state of Utah, next to Nevada, and the closest place to hang your hat is in the city of Wendover. But there's one small problem: booking a hotel in Wendover. The earliest in advance you can hold a room at any of the hotels in Wendover is 6 months, and on the day of your earliest available booking, you stand a snowball's chance in hell of finding anything. There is a ton of history in Bonneville, and everyone who knows anything about speed goes there during Speed Week. Big names, big money, with a lot of connection in this city will leave you literally out in the desert. So, this leaves you with two options. Now, just before you reach the Bonneville Speedway, east of Wendover, is a place the regulars like to call the Bend in the Road. Now, it's basically an open stretch of desert. No services, no defined areas as to where to set up, no bathrooms, nothing, just desert. Now, I'm certainly not opposed to camping out in the desert among fellow enthusiasts, but once you've been traveling for several days to get there, a nice shower and a bed does a world of good, and your co-travelers will probably appreciate it as well. This leaves really only one feasible option, and that is the town of Wells, Nevada, and it's located 1 hour west of Wendover. The site of Wells began as a place called Humboldt Wells, and it was along the California Trail. But after the entire site burned down in 1863, the name was shortened to just Wells. By 1869, the Central Pacific Railroad had made it an important shipping and receiving center for the mines and ranches of the nearby valley. Now, every town and every city has its local legends, and the town of Wells is certainly no exception. Now, while I couldn't find any definite reference to substantiate the claims made by the Wells Chamber of Commerce, apparently, the famous Jack Dempsey was discovered while he worked as a bouncer at one of the local historical saloons. Now, for those who don't know, Jack Dempsey was a world heavyweight boxing champion until he retired in 1926. Many years later, as the sleepy town was settling in for a long winter's eve on February 28, 2008, at about 9 p.m., disaster struck.
Big quake in a small Nevada town this morning. Drywall cracked, brick buildings crumbled. This car was crushed.
They are like the longest seconds of your life. Every possible thing that could fall down is on the floor.
As the owner of two buildings here in downtown that literally fell apart, she is picking up the pieces today.
3 years later, most of the newer parts of town have been rebuilt, but the historical side of town sits as it did after the 6.0 earthquake destroyed most of the buildings. Now, I spoke with a few of the locals, and the story was pretty much the same. They don't have any money, and the government isn't going to step in to spend anything to allocate for the restoration of these historical buildings. So these buildings will remain a mere shadow of their former glory. If you need a roof over your head, this is the best place, and really it's the only choice. And it's a nice place. It's got a lot of character. The hotels are nice, and the people are very, very warm and very, very friendly. It's a nice little town with a lot of character. So head west, young men and women. There's gold, and then there are hills. It's only an hour drive, which really at the end of the day isn't all that bad.
It's much easier to drive it on and off. See, now what you can do is if you jackknife the trailer, take this side off, and then just drive off the ground.
Yeah, try that.
Alright, so...
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Look at this whole tea bucket.
After we traveled 1,800 kilometers over 3 days, we finally found ourselves at a place the world has come to know as the Bonneville Salt Flats. Hollywood has done an excellent job in helping make this place legendary. Movies such as Pirates of the Caribbean, Independence Day, and of course my favorite, The World's Fastest Indian, which is a story based on the life and times of Burt Munro, who held a land speed record in 1967, taking his modified 1926 Indian Scout to a speed of 205.67 miles per hour. But there's more to this story than just speed. The Salt Flats were named after an early U.S. Army officer who explored the area in the 1800s. Also worth mentioning is the tragedy of the Donna Reed Party, a group of early settlers that were held up by the salt and bad weather, which cost them precious time trying to make it to the other side of the Sierra Nevadas. Shortly after crossing the Salt Flats, many of them died in the mountains due to exposure to the environment, and a few of them even resorted to cannibalism. Today the Salt Flats are in trouble. Since 1967, a local potash mine has been extracting the salt in the production of potash. In some areas where the salt used to be feet thick, it's now only inches thick. It's sad to think that within our lifetime it is entirely possible that the day will come when this iconic place will no longer be visible and its smooth, blinding white surface will disappear forever. But enough of that. Let's get down to why we came here. Speed.
I guess I was a little wrong about my 50s and 60s.
led you to the water, then they told you to drink. Well, then they